Okay, let's do that. What is up? Hope you both cameras are doing well. Hope you're all doing well. We're trying two cameras today. My new toy on my the Insta360 thing, and then obviously the standard camera. We're gonna see which one works better. In theory, this one should be better. This one's nicer for the audio because I can connect an actual mic to everything. But in practicality, that one shoots a lot better quality. So we'll have to see for both sides. In terms of today, regarding everything, so just my quick updates as we normally do. Yesterday was a bit better in the sense of like things still feel difficult. I mean, no matter how you're gonna approach it, it's the stress, it's the like. And I always say this, and then I think about it afterwards, and I go, well, why don't you do what you're supposed to be doing? And man, it sucks because now I know that I shouldn't be stressing, because at the end of the day, like we always said, it's do your part in its entirety, and if you're confident that you've done your part, then the rest is on God. I didn't think about that, and it's kind of irritating because maybe that would have saved me some stress, but because I'm sitting here going like, in the end, definitely things could be done better. Definitely I could do me more in certain senses and be less in other senses, you know? But I sit here and I go, at the end of the day, I do think I put in a lot more than what I'm accustomed to. I stuck to what I promised I would do, and yeah, it's up to God now. That's where I think the fasting epiphany is now coming into play. I think that's my word. Onto the fast though, I did, unfortunately my phone died while I was sleeping, so I never got up in time. Well, I got up 2 minutes before I was not allowed to eat. But I ate, and what I'll do is I'll progress for another hour or two. Although I was only 5 minutes late, so I'll progress another hour or two at the end of the day just to make up for it. I know it's not technically how it's supposed to go. I remember that I did it in the beginning of the year and I got up late and I just didn't eat. The reason why I just don't want to do it now is just A, there's a lot of more physical stuff that needs to be completed, and B, I'm still in the emotional ringer, we'll call it. I'm just dodging, ducking, receiving blows left, right, and center. So yeah, I did pray before, I prayed after, and I'm like, I am sorry that it's late, and I do feel bad that I did end up eating, but it's really I don't know, man. For those of you that are a bit more purist, you'll probably count this day as a scrap, which is entirely fine. I did do most of my days, or every day bar one. So, yeah. But like I said, in terms of emotional stuff, in terms of just what I'm going through, I just feel a little bit better today. Feel like you take a couple steps forward and then there's always a curveball thrown at you, and I did get a curveball thrown this morning and I was just like, oh, that sucks. But not that it sucks for me. It's not one of those like it's a direct attack on me or anything. It's just, I don't know, when you watch things from afar when you were so involved, it's just kind of sucks, you know. It's like that. I think we'd all understand that. You've all had a partner, I would imagine. Those of you that haven't, I don't know, think of something you were very involved in, then just couldn't be involved in it anymore, and all of a sudden you watching from the sidelines and you can't do much. So yeah, but I've been training is good. I'm a very sore but I'm glad it's the second week in a row that I've trained, and I haven't done that this year. I've trained for 2 solid weeks, which is it feels good. I mean, yesterday for the first time, even with the fasting there, because I trained near the end of the fast, and like I'm still getting destroyed, man. Like it hurts my ego so much because we're doing a lot of 1 rep or 3 rep maxes, and my strength is my strength. That's what I would say. I'm very good at my powerlifting movements. I did have part of that as a partial background to what I do. But this week everyone's destroyed me. I think I've been like fourth or fifth in the classes with the coaches included, in all the strength movements, and I'm just sitting there going, man, this is the thing that I was so good at, and it feels like it's just been taken away on a week where I'm not feeling good, on a week where I can't eat, on a week where things just feel like they keep coming at me and not stopping. The 1 rep maxes were the one thing I would normally be like, yo, this is something I can like show people up in, and just hasn't worked out. I think the only thing actually I did, I think it was the best, and this is only because my competition is injured, is the strict press, because that's something I still somehow have. But even that, I'm 10 kilos lighter. My 1 rep was 10 kilos lighter than when I last tested. So that's where we're at. I mean, I haven't been able to train properly for over 3 months. Oh, longer if you want to count training but not training. Like training more, but having to have off days and stuff, because not being able to walk in that. And then pair that with, this year I think I've not trained way more than I have trained. So yeah, these first 2 weeks have definitely been a bit of an eye-opener. It was nice to do some strength stuff. It was nice to train with some people. And that's what I think gets me through everything. I don't know about you guys, but what I would always recommend when it comes to you being in a state of, I don't know, confusion, of discomfort, of I don't want to throw it too loosely, but I would say, like, even if it's situational, but depression, for me, just being around people makes it so much better. I think I sit and I can talk, I can laugh, I even laugh and talk about my situation, and it just, although that kind of sucks, it's still like a good, it's not a good, but it's a coping mechanism. And I just see that, people's faces. I mean, a lot of people everyone's just trying to make each other happy where I am. So they'll throw in some jokes, they'll include me in certain things, and they'll check up on me, which, like I said, it's one of those miracles we talked about yesterday with the song. It doesn't matter how big, doesn't matter how small, but there's still something there that shows God is kind of looking after you. So yeah, that's me. So we're now going to Joseph, it looks like. So we're going Genesis 37. I think it's 1 to 33. Let me just confirm with you guys. I do keep my notes here, 1 to 36. So Joseph and slavery. I think we're all familiar with the story. And I just want to confirm. Yeah. So Joseph's Jacob's son. Okay. That's fine. Okay. So yeah, it's just interesting. I think we've seen many movies about it. This is a well-documented story. I think all these Genesis stories are kind of well-documented in their own way. Probably Abraham not so much, as I think I can name 3 or 4 movies on Joseph. Moses is obviously a very common one. David and Goliath, the standards. I actually saw that David and Goliath movie was like the highest grossing Christianity or religious-based film. I think it was, the animators were from South Africa, so go South Africa. So yeah, let's get going. Let's read. Let's see where it takes us, and let's see what we have in store for us today. Again, so Joseph is sold into slavery. So Jacob settled again in the land of Canaan, where his father had lived as a foreigner. This isn't the account of Jacob and his family. When Joseph was 17 years old, he often tended his father's flocks. He worked for his half-brothers, the sons of his father's wives, Bilhah and Zilpah. Zulpah. But Joseph reported to his father some of the bad things his brothers were doing. Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his sons, other children, because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So one day Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. One night Joseph had a dream, when he told his brothers about it, they hated him even more than ever. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly my bundle stood up and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. His brothers responded, So you think you'll be our king, do you? You actually think you'll reign over us? And they hated him all the more because of his dreams and the way he talked about them. Soon Joseph had a dream, and again he told his brothers about it. Listen, I had another dream, he said. The sun, the moon, and the 11 stars bowed low before me. This time he told his dream to his father as well, to his brothers. But his father scolded him. What kind of dream is that, he asked. Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down for the ground before you? But while his brothers were jealous of Joseph, his father wondered what the dreams meant. Soon after this, Joseph's brothers went to pasture their father's flocks at Shechem. When they had been gone for some time, Jacob said to Joseph, Your brothers are pasturing the sheep in Shechem. Shechem? Get ready, and I will send you to them. I'm ready to go, Joseph replied. Go and see how your brothers and flocks are getting along, Jacob said. Then come back and bring me a report. So Jacob sent him on his way, and Joseph traveled to Shechem from their home in the valley of Hebron. When he arrived there, a man from the area noticed him wandering around the countryside. What are you looking for? He asked. I'm looking for my brothers, Joseph replied. Do you know where they are pasturing the sheep? Yes, the man told them. They moved on from here, but I heard them say, Let's go to Dothan. So Joseph followed his brothers to Dothan and found them there. Here Joseph sold to slavery. Then, when Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. Here comes the dreamer, they said. Come on, let's kill him and throw him into one of these cisterns. We can tell our father a wild animal has eaten him. Then we'll see what becomes of his dreams. But when Reuben heard of their scheme, he came to Joseph's rescue. Let's not kill him, he said. Why should we shed any blood? Let's just throw him into an empty cistern here in the wilderness. Then he'll die without laying a hand on him. Reuben was secretly planning to rescue Joseph and return him to his father. So when Joseph arrived, his brothers ripped off his beautiful robe he was wearing. They grabbed him and threw him into the cistern. Now the cistern was empty. There was no water in it. Then, just as they were sitting down to eat, they looked up and saw a caravan of camels in the distance coming toward them. It was a group of Ishmaelite traders talking aloud of gum, balm, and aromatic resin from Gilead down to Egypt. Judah and his brothers. What will we gain from killing our brother? We'd have to cover up the crime. Instead of hurting him, let's sell him to those Ishmaelite traders. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. And his brothers agreed. So when the Ishmaelites, who were Midianites traders, came by, Joseph's brothers pulled him out of the cistern and sold him to them for 20 pieces of silver. Then the traders took him to Egypt. Sometime later, Reuben returned to get Joseph out of the cistern. When he discovered that Joseph was missing, he tore his clothes off in grief. Then he went back to his brothers and lamented, The boy is gone. What will I do now? Then the brothers killed a young goat and dipped Joseph's robe in its blood. They sent the beautiful robe to their father with this message: "Look at what we found. Doesn't this robe belong to your son?" Their father recognized it immediately. "Yes," he said, "it is my son's robe. A wild animal must have eaten him. Joseph has clearly been torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his clothes and dressed himself in burlap. He mourned deeply for his son for a long time. His family all tried to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted. "I will go to my grave mourning for my son," he would say, and then he would weep. Meanwhile, the Midianite traders arrived in Egypt, where they sold Joseph to the Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. Potiphar was captain of the palace guard. Okay. So there's our reading for today. So it's the first part, and like I said, we're all very familiar with what's happened here. A lot of the dreams, the jealousy, the sold, and then the pretending of it being obviously a murder. So yeah, for me, my question would lie in the story is, how can you as a father love one son more than the others, despite what the circumstances are? I come from a family where I'm the stepson, but I'm looked after a lot more than my sister, who is the real daughter. Although in our family we do say my dad is my dad, I'm his son. The reality is I'm a stepson and he is my stepdad. Although I would never call him that. Yeah, I'd never call him that. So, yeah, that's where that would strike a nerve for me. It's just, yeah, I could never, how do I say this? I could never, see somebody loving someone that's their own lesser than what they love everyone else. Although my sister would argue everyone in the family loves me more than her. Probably should not. Everyone loves her just as much. And yeah, it's just, that's my first question with this stuff is, do you see how it like creates tension and creates resentment unnecessarily? That's what I would say. It's I understand that they should never do it in the first place. Let's not draw that out. Like, let's not think that that's not a thing. Like, being hard done by does not mean that you get to take it out on other people. It does not mean you need to take it out on people that have no influence, have no say in what is happening. It's such a cop out for bad behavior. I mean, I've gone through many times in my life where I go, if I've done to others what's been done to me, then like they'd be resentful, they'd hate me, they'd hate the system, they'd hate this, they hate that, and we could all just sit here and hate everything. So simple. I mean, we went through, I won't mention where, but when you make your best team in rugby, for instance, this is over 10 years ago. I don't know what they do now, so don't take what I say now as it is still being currently done, because I don't know. I'm not involved in the system. But what happens when you make like your best team, essentially, it's camaraderie building, and I understand that. And I also look back and I go, it did do what our juniors didn't have, and there was a sense of like fear of your superiors. And what ends up happening is we called them jacks, and essentially you just got whacked on the ass like multiple times. And depending on your behavior, depending on how you interacted with the group, how you treated the people above you, determined how many you got. And firstly, my dad told them in front of me that I deserve more than anyone else because I'm a cheeky little, So, and I mean, the one guy who was my senior, he was in my class, and he was a lot older than everyone else. He was held back a bit, so everyone would give him grief about his age and being in the same grade as us, and I would be one of those. And listen, I look back on it and I go, I probably deserved that, and it was a lesson in itself. But you sit and I got the most, okay? So before anyone even says anything, I got the most, and the guy who got second most ended up reporting it, and we weren't actually allowed to do it to the next years. And in a way, I was happy that it never got passed down because it didn't bother me like it bothered other people. You can see it physically bothered other people, because when I tell you your bum was black afterwards, it is an understatement. Okay, someone walked in right after they did it, and they told him, like, have you camaraderie stories, but they said, like, expose your bum so that people can see. And he walked in and it was already blue. This is like 5 minutes after, and that's when we were scared. That's when fear was in our eyes. But it happened, and it was, like I said, I don't resent it. It's a life lesson. It was a very tough life lesson, but it taught you, respect people firstly, but also respect your superiors. And that's something we didn't have when I became the senior, because we weren't allowed to do stuff like that. We had the youngsters calling everyone else out, acting like they weren't the problem, and you can even see it. I mean, we went to our first video session with these kids, and they came out so distraught from the coaches, because the coaches, when they even got the nice coaches. When our coaches were there, they told us how bad we were, and we need to be better, and this, and that, and they were very honest with us. Where these coaches tried to soften the blow, we could feel as seniors, and these juniors came out like so disappointed with life, and we're just like, you guys have a lot to learn. But so that's just my thing about, like, doing to others what's been done to you. Doesn't always have to happen that way. Share the good stuff. You don't need to share the bad stuff. At the end of the day, someone else will do it. And I don't like to say that in a sense of, it doesn't matter anyway, but it is the reality of the world we live in. There are good people and there are bad people, and we always are exposed to both. So let's get going. In Joseph's day, everyone had a robe that was worn as a primary outer garment. These were put to many uses, including building up belongings for a trip, wrapping up babies, as a blanket to sit on, or even to serve as security for a loan. Most robes were knee-length, short-sleeved, and plain. In contrast, Job's robe was like the kind worn by royalty, ankle-length, long-sleeved, and colorful. His robe became a symbol of Jacob's favoritism towards Joseph, and it aggravated the already strained relations between Joseph and his brothers. Favoritism in families may be unavoidable, but it is decisive. Its divisive effect should be minimized. Parents may not be able to change their feelings toward their favorite child, but they can choose to act wisely and fairly with all their children. And I agree with that 1000%. That's what I said earlier. I think it is tough to control emotions and things like that, and there's definitely maybe a kid or so that you would probably get better along with, like, or be more protective over, or I don't know, feel more sorry for. I'm probably the more sorry for kid now that I say that out loud. But you see, and that's where wisdom comes in, and discernment on how do you handle these situations, how do you look after, and how do you create a family that is not divided, because you can treat each other differently and have a very divided family, and that's not going to work well for either group of people, and it creates strain in relationships. It can set your kids apart. They could resent each other for no reason. Like my sister and I, despite what I said earlier, we're very good with our relationship. If we fight for longer than a week, there's a problem, and her and her fiance will address it. I will have to address it, and if I have a partner, they'll probably address it to me as well. But yeah, that's just the life. That's our life, and that's because we were raised in the sense of we were always treated as equals. Doesn't matter how our parents felt about our situations, what our situation was, because I actually wasn't told till I was 13 or so, around there, or I didn't understand it until I was that age. Let's call it that way. Then Joseph's brothers were already angry over the possibility of being ruled by their little brother, Joseph. Still a young and probably immature, Leonard seems to have fueled the fire with this attitude and boastful manner. No one enjoys a braggart. Joseph learned this the hard way. His angry brother sold him into slavery to get rid of him. After several years of hardship, Joseph learned an important lesson. Because our talents and knowledge come from God, it is more appropriate to thank Him for them than to brag about them. Later, Joseph gave God the credit. So that's interesting. We all have different talents, and they all come from God. You need to. I get guilty of it all the time. I say I've got a great heart, and I think that's what I like about the way I've been raised. But there's no use me just going, I have a great heart, and then you do stuff and you use it as a way to tell people that you are this person that maybe you're not always, you know. So it's all about thanking God for. I should definitely thank God for my heart. I should thank Him for my spirit. I should thank Him for a lot of things. rather than just accepting that this is what I've got and I'm happy with it, you know. Showing gratefulness and humbleness is also a way of showing that you're mature in spirit, I would say. Can you imagine feeling so jealous that you wanted to kill someone? Before saying, of course not, look at what happened in the story. The men were willing to kill their younger brother over a robe and a few reported dreams. Their deep jealousy had grown into ugly rage, completely blinding them to what is right. Jealousy can be difficult to recognize because our reasons for it seem to make sense, but left unchecked, jealousy grows quickly and leads to serious sins. The longer you cultivate jealous feelings, the harder it is to uproot them. The time to deal with jealousy is when you notice yourself keeping score of others' recognition, awards, and achievement. Ooh, that's Whew. That feels like my situation now. I think that was my curveball this morning. Is I look at my partner and I go, yo, this person, like, okay, what the context behind certain things are not going to be said, but I just sit and I go, yo, I wish I could join her on these kind of things, and like, yo, she's doing all these things, I better do something. And although not rooted in deep jealousy, you can look at it as surface level jealousy. I mean, I wish, like I said, I'm getting back into the training and I'm sitting here and I'm feeling a lot jealous of everyone else who's doing all these numbers that I used to laugh at. But now I can't even hit the numbers they're hitting, which are the numbers I used to be laughing at. And I'm sitting there going, it's a part of jealousy. Maybe that's my lesson for my training right now. Be humble and stop being jealous and do your own thing. Because I can tell you right now, it's motivated me, eh? I'm sitting here, I'll do extra things, I'm doing extra work on my own. I've done extra work in years, guys. Now I'm sitting here going, cool, that's the program, I'm gonna do the program. Then I'm gonna go do the strength stuff afterwards, because I'll be damned if I lose this again. Like, I'm that stubborn and determined that I'm not going to be where I'm at now again. Maybe when I'm 60, okay? So, the brothers were worried about bearing the guilt of Joseph's death. Judah suggested an option that was not right, but would leave them innocent of murder. Sometimes we jump to a solution because it's the lesser of two evils, even though it is still not the right action to take. When someone proposes a seemingly workable solution first, ask, is it right? I think that's what we need to focus on, guys, is what we're doing right before what is the better option? Because if it's not right, don't even bother with the second option, because it's still wrong. It's still, and that's what we're seeing it. It is still in that category of you shouldn't be doing it. But yeah, the brothers did it anyway because it was less of two evils, like they said. But the less of two evils is still evil. So identify what's happening. Understand if it's right, if it's wrong, if it's biblical, if it's not. If you're going into a situation of, maybe it shouldn't be done, and it might hurt somebody. But that hurting is, it's not that bad because it's not us. Either way, it is still this thing of it's wrong. Don't do it. Just find another way. I promise you, there's so many ways to do things now with this free will thing that we have, that if you sit long enough and you think hard enough, you will find another solution. So stop thinking that everything always has to be a lesser of two evils. I promise you right now. Okay. Reuben returned to the cistern to find Joseph, but his little brother was gone. His first response in effect was, what will happen to me, rather than what will happen to Joseph. In a tough situation, are you usually concerned first about yourself? Consider the most affected by the problem, and you'll be more likely to find a solution for it. And that is building on what we just said. I didn't read that point before. Okay, so very simple. One, we're going over everything again. So what ends up happening now, we're going to the next lesson. So to cover the evil action, Jacob's sons deceived their father into thinking Joseph was dead. Jacob himself had deceived others many times, including his own father. Even though he didn't know it at this point, Jacob was learning by hard experience the painfulness and destructive consequences to deceit. You know what sucks about this is it just feels like right now it feels like, given my situation, how I act in the last sort of relationship, kind of the way I treated them, I kind of feel, listen, they are not doing anywhere near what I was doing, but the emotions that the other person must be going through is kind of how I feel like it's happening to me. And just like 2 days ago when we go over karma coming around and biting you. It just feels like, yeah, sometimes maybe, I don't want to say it because I just feel like it just makes it more real, but sometimes God has to give you a little bit of what you gave to others so that you can more understand the weight of what you do. Now, if you're someone who doesn't deep things like I do, I think it's easy to brush it off because you can just go, it's just bad luck, or I didn't make them feel this way, and you can do your manipulation to convince yourself otherwise. But yeah, for me, I'm sitting here going at the right now, I'm like it's been a month of hardships, which is how other things were. It's where it was me last time calling the shots, it's them now calling the shots. It was unsurety on my side, now it's unsurety on their side, versus surety on my side and surety on the other side when we did the last thing. And oof. You know what? I'm gonna stick to my guns. I feel like I'm learning a lesson here, and lessons don't always have to end in this negative feeling or this negative action. I mean, you can learn the lesson without having the entirety of the consequence. And the reason why I say that is just you can go into introspection as a good first step. I think your ability to introspect and understand your actions and then understand your emotions as well as the other person's. Once you can kind of get into that space, it does help with this whole situation. I think that, like we always say, God knows the intention of your heart, and if He can see that your heart is feeling a certain way, or it's gone into the way of you feel like you've learned what you've truly understand what you've done and how your actions affect others. Well, then it's up to God to decide whether or not what He wants to do. The one unfortunate thing is, it's not unfortunate, but I always say it's unfortunate, but it's not unfortunate. It's great that we have free will, but man, it sucks sometimes because it means that nothing goes the way that you want it to go. When I say it like that, I mean, in everyone's perfect world, something has to change in terms of how others behaved or treated one another for it to happen. And yeah, that's never going to happen. So yeah, there's the free will coming in. It's a roll of the dice with that stuff. And just pray that God gives guidance, God gives peace, God gives freedom, God gives wisdom to all parties involved. That's how I see it. Now, tearing one's clothes and wearing a burlap, often called the sackcloth, were signs of mourning, such like wearing black today. I figured that as soon as we read it. I mean, I think just throughout history there's always a sign of mourning. I think it's good to have something like that because, I mean, if you dress a certain way, sometimes you just don't want to be addressed. And I think clothing's the easiest way to identify whether or not somebody's going through something or not. And this is a clear sign that Jacob was going through something, and it changes your approach to the person. It changes your what you do, how you do it, what you think, all those kind of things. And like for me, I'm a very, I don't know, I'd like to say I'm a bit of a funny guy. I make jokes where I can, probably more often than not. I use the same jokes multiple times, as my girlfriend would tell me, as frustrating as it is. Yeah, I'm someone who really likes to, I just want people to smile. I mean, if I see a smile, I'm in a good space, you know. That's what I say, when you're around people, it's so cool just to, especially when you're sad or you're depressed or you're going through something, like it's so difficult for me to sit and be depressed in front of people. Like, people can definitely see I'm sad. I hate the fact that if I'm going through something, you can see it on my face. I hate it with a passion because I really want to be that person who can go through things and no one knows, because I don't like being asked questions about it. I am a bit of an emotional person in that sense. Hail Mary, Project Hail Mary, I was tearing up because of everything. Like, you know, when just all your emotions catch up to you. And there's a specific scene, if you've seen it, you'll know, where you just like, why is it happening? Why does it have to happen to this thing? And it's a damn rock, dude. And I was crying. That's the story. That is it. It was a rock, and I was crying. I don't understand. It's just emotional roller coaster. But back to my point is that, yeah, that's the nice thing about being around people is that, like, it's a negative that they can see that I'm upset, but it's such a positive in the sense of the people I'm around always try. I feel like they try, but they don't try, and I always get uplifted. I can't sit and be a mopey, a sad, like an Eeyore, as my parents would call it, from Winnie the Pooh. I can't be Eeyore around people. I need to be there. I need to talk, especially when I'm taking class and that. I need to be interactive. I need to, even if I'm going through something, I need to somewhat have jokes in line or snarky comments in line just to make people see that I'm okay. And they do the same with me to make sure that I'm okay. So that's the thing, is like, that's why I like being around people. It's just, I think people can uplift you, bring you up into a space that you might not be able to do on your own. And sure, God does that, and he does that in his own ways as well. But you know, that presence of seeing other people, having that sense of community around you always is just a helpful thing to have. And you can even say, one would even say, God puts those people around you for certain reasons, and that could be their reasons. And yeah, I agree with it 1000%. So yeah, then we go into the next thing. Imagine the culture shock Joseph experienced upon arriving in Egypt. Joseph had lived as a nomad, traveling the countryside with his family, caring for sheep. Suddenly he was thrust into the world's most advanced civilization, with great pyramids, beautiful homes, sophisticated people, and a new language. While Joseph saw the Egyptians' skill and intelligence at their best, he also saw their spiritual blindness. They worshipped countless gods related to every aspect of life. And it's so easy to read these, but so difficult to probably understand the weight of what that is. I mean, most people would have learned a second language in school, whether or not very well is a very different thing to address on its own, because you had to learn it well. Like, yeah, for us in South Africa, we learn Afrikaans or Zulu, depending on what kind of school you go to, what kind of area you live in. I've done both. I did Zulu until grade 7. Ironically, did better in Zulu than English. Then I did Afrikaans from obviously grade 3 till matric or whatever. And my Afrikaans is terrible. Like, I can understand certain things. I can get the idea of what is said based on the conversation that's being had. But if someone asks me direct things without any context, I don't know what they're saying. I always have to go, Engels please, asseblief, and I take it from there. And so for me, the language thing hits hard. But then you always, like he says, you have to learn a whole new group of people, a whole new group of beliefs, understandings, and mindsets that you're not accustomed to learning or being around. I mean, from my understanding, when you're a nomad, you kind of, in your own small little group, you go travel from place to place. You might meet a couple people, but you don't stay with people you can't get along with because they won't let you. But you're not interacting with a whole culture, and that's what's going on here. And that's a trouble in its own. And we do know what happens with Joseph in the future and stuff like that. And yeah, now that you sit and you go, well, there had to be a lot that was happening for the fact that he did what he did is just, it's very interesting. So that's us for today. Another long episode, guys. I think for me, right now, guys, this is my therapy. So you guys are going to see 40-minute episodes until I get over what I need to get over, or things sort themselves out and I get into a space that I'm a bit more happy. Is that the right way to say? I wouldn't say happy. Happy sounds very sad, but just in a space of I'm sure, you know. So yeah, thanks for being my outlet. Although I don't think many people watch this anyway, but this interaction between me and you two work out. Yeah, so hope you have a good day. If you need anything, let me know. And yeah, good luck with everything, guys.